In 2026, the biggest mistake most businesses make isn't about their product, it's about their pricing. Most founders just guess. But what if there was a way to engineer your prices to know exactly what customers will pay and when? What if you could flip a switch and see your revenue jump 10% next month without acquiring a single new customer? Think about it. Salesforce outlines 5 core strategies: cost plus, competitive, price skimming, penetration, and value-based. But how do you pick the right one? How do you avoid leaving millions on the table, like so many companies do when they just eyeball a number? Today, we're diving into the data-driven pricing strategies that are actually making companies serious money right now. We'll look at how dynamic pricing, once just for airlines, is transforming event sales, and why understanding your customers' willingness to pay is the ultimate cheat code. In 2024, pricing isn't just about what you charge, it's about how you position your entire business. Consider this. The average SaaS company leaves an estimated 10 to 15% of potential revenue on the table due to suboptimal pricing strategies. That's not a rounding error. That's a direct hit to your bottom line and your runway. Coursera, in their recent analysis, underlined that a well-crafted pricing strategy isn't just about attracting customers. It actively builds trust, conveys value, and can significantly boost sales. We're in an era where dynamic pricing, once exclusive to airlines and Uber, is now standard for everything from event tickets to enterprise software. Salesforce's guide reminds us that balancing competitiveness with profitability requires deep dives into market dynamics and production costs, not just gut feelings. And as Wikipedia points out, senior executives are continually tweaking these strategies to maximize profit, defend market share, or break into new territory. This isn't theoretical. These are the plays companies are running right now to win. Today, we're diving into the pricing strategies that are actually working, the ones that are making real money. We'll look at how some companies are using sophisticated models to understand what customers are truly willing to pay, and how others are leveraging seemingly counterintuitive approaches to dominate their markets. We'll start by breaking down the fundamentals of value-based pricing and why it's becoming the default for cutting-edge businesses. That's why defining a clear pricing strategy isn't just a suggestion, it's a non-negotiable. As the Coursera staff, in their article updated June 21st, 2026, clearly state, a pricing strategy is the fundamental process and methodology for setting your product or service prices. It's not just about slapping a number on something. It's about conveying value, attracting the right customers, inspiring trust, boosting sales, and ultimately, increasing your profits. Think about it. Set your prices too low, as Eric Dolensky emphasized in an article updated March 27, 2025, and you leave money on the table, eroding your profit margins. Go too high, and you scare off potential buyers, losing out on sales altogether. The success or failure of a business, from market entry to defending existing turf, often hinges entirely on this delicate balance. It determines everything from market share to profitability per unit. Simon Kucker's December 18, 2024 article, Take the Lead on Pricing, drives this point home. They argue that price leadership goes far beyond just managing numbers. It's about strategically aligning your pricing with your customers' perceived value and your overarching business objectives to ensure sustainable growth. This alignment is critical. For instance, consider how Apple consistently prices its premium products. They're not competing on cost. They're competing on perceived value and brand prestige, aligning their pricing strategy directly with that objective. This isn't about guesswork, it's engineering. Understanding these foundational principles is the first step before we even dive into decoding the big 5 core pricing strategies. Salesforce, in their guide updated February 27, 2026, actually outlines 10 common pricing models, but they highlight 5 main types that influence everything from your target audience's perception to their willingness to pay. Think of it like a toolkit, and each tool serves a specific purpose. First up, cost plus pricing. This is probably the most straightforward. You figure out your production costs, your overhead, and then you add a desired profit margin. It's what Eric Dolensky, associate professor of marketing at Brock University, calls a seller-focused approach. It's safe, predictable, But as the Salesforce Guide points out, it requires a deep understanding of your production costs and market dynamics to really work. You're guaranteeing your margins, but you might be leaving money on the table if customers would pay more. Then there's competitive pricing. This is where you set your prices based on what your rivals are charging. This isn't about being the cheapest. It's about being strategically positioned. If all your competitors are charging $100 for a similar service, you might go $95 to attract market share, or $110 if you believe your offering is superior. It's a constant dance of analysis, balancing being competitive with maintaining profitability. Next, price skimming. Imagine Apple launching a new iPhone. They start at a premium price, targeting those early adopters, the enthusiasts willing to pay top dollar. Then, over time, they gradually lower the price. Salesforce explains this strategy works best for innovative products where you have a temporary monopoly or a significant first-mover advantage. You skim off the cream of the market before competitors catch up. The flip side of skimming is penetration pricing. Here, you launch with an initial low price to rapidly gain market share. Think of a new streaming service offering a ridiculously cheap first-year subscription. The goal isn't immediate profit, it's customer acquisition and market dominance. Once you have that sticky customer base, you can then incrementally raise prices or upsell premium features. Finally, the one I find most interesting, value-based pricing. This isn't about your costs or your competitors. It's about the perceived value to the customer. As Simon Kucker, a leading pricing consultancy, often champions, this is the path to sustainable growth. If your product saves a business $10,000 a month, charging $1,000 for it is a no-brainer, even if your costs are minimal. It's about understanding the problem you solve and pricing for that solution. But these 5 are just the foundation. Beyond the basics, we're seeing entirely new frontiers opening up with dynamic pricing and event innovation. Beyond the traditional approaches, there's a whole layer of sophisticated pricing strategies that respond to real-time market dynamics. In 2025, dynamic pricing isn't just for airlines or Uber anymore. It's a key event pricing model where ticket prices fluctuate based on real-time demand, historical sales data, and even competitor activity. Consider the progression. Early bird sales, like those for a major music festival such as Glastonbury, often start 15 to 20% lower, and then, much like concert tickets for a high-profile artist like Taylor Swift, the price climbs steadily as the event date approaches and demand solidifies. This isn't guesswork. Successful event pricing relies on predictive analytics, historical trends, and advanced AI-powered technology to attract attendees and maximize revenue, according to insights from industry leader Events.com. A strong, adaptive event pricing strategy is crucial for profitability, ensuring a positive attendee experience by managing expectations and maintaining stakeholder confidence. The shift towards these data-driven decisions is becoming paramount, and a great example of this is Patrick Campbell, co-founder and CEO of Price Intelligently, now ProfitWell by Paddle. Since launching in 2011, Campbell's firm has helped SaaS giants like Atlassian and HubSpot optimize their pricing and revenue models, often increasing average revenue per user, ERPU, by 10 to 25%. With a background as a strategist at Google and an intelligence analyst fellow at the Department of Defense, Campbell consistently emphasizes the critical role of data in modern pricing strategies, highlighting how a nuanced understanding of market demand, identifying specific price points for different customer segments, can unlock significant revenue previously left on the table. This isn't just about maximizing profit. It's about understanding the elasticity of demand, and it shows why ignoring these signals can lead to severe missteps and lost opportunities. But it's also a minefield, as many corporate giants have discovered to their immense cost. As Tim J. Smith, a leading expert in strategic pricing, meticulously detailed in his September 2, 2016 article for the Harvard Business Review, even seasoned CEOs can trip spectacularly on the complex terrain of pricing. Consider the cautionary saga of Ron Johnson at JCPenney. His much-touted simple pricing strategy, a bold yet ultimately misguided attempt to eliminate promotional coupons and frequent sales, backfired spectacularly. The strategy alienated loyal customers accustomed to discounts, leading to a staggering 20% drop in sales to $12.9 billion in fiscal year 2012 and Johnson's eventual departure after just 17 months. He's hardly an isolated case. Lonnie Bo Pilgrim, co-founder of Pilgrim's Fried Chicken, faced intense pressure when aggressive pricing strategies during the 2008 financial crisis nearly brought the company to its knees, culminating in a Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing. Similarly, Stefan Larsson at Ralph Lauren grappled with brand dilution and eroding profitability due to overdistribution and inconsistent pricing, forcing a significant restructuring. These stories vividly underscore one of Smith's core warnings: oversimplifying your pricing or failing to adapt it to market realities can bleed a company dry. Nick Woodman at GoPro offers another compelling cautionary tale. His initial missteps with product tiering and premium pricing for models like the Hero 4 Session, which was quickly discounted by $100 after poor sales, significantly eroded market share and consumer trust, showing that even a breakout product can falter without a robust, dynamic strategy. The delicate balance is further echoed in the March 27, 2025 article, The 5 Most Common Pricing Strategies, which lucidly points out that setting prices too low means leaving substantial money on the table, potentially signaling low quality, while setting them too high means dramatically lost sales and market share. It's a perilous tightrope walk. You need to capture maximum perceived value without alienating your target market or provoking competitor response. What this teaches us is that understanding your market, your detailed cost structure, and your customers' perceived value is not just important, but absolutely paramount. It's the very foundation for what many consider the CEO's most critical playbook element, leading with price. Ultimately, pricing isn't just a line item. It's a strategic lever that demands CEO-level attention. As the Wikipedia article on pricing strategy notes, senior executives are directly responsible for defining pricing position, market segments, internal capabilities, and how to react to competitors. This isn't just about managing numbers, it's about leading. Simon Kucker, in their December 18, 2024 article, clearly defines price leadership as a strategic imperative, a mindset that aligns pricing with core customer value and broader business objectives for sustainable growth. It's a fundamental part of attracting the right customers and ensuring profitability, ultimately satisfying shareholders. Michelle Lowry, a finance writer and editor, reinforced this on March 11, 2026, when she emphasized that a robust pricing strategy is a structured method based on a deep understanding of costs, the competitive landscape, and, critically, customer value. Think of it like Apple. Their premium pricing isn't just pulled from thin air. It's a calculated move based on perceived value, ecosystem lock-in, and relentless brand building. They identified their segment, understood their value, and set their price accordingly. Alexander Puccio, a Forbes contributor, further elaborated on this in his February 26, 2025 article, The CEO's Guide to Pricing, highlighting how successful strategies aren't static. They vary wildly by company, country, culture, and industry, and they absolutely must evolve to remain effective. What works for a B2B SaaS company in Silicon Valley won't work for a retail chain in Southeast Asia. This constant adaptation is a mark of true price leadership. What we've covered today makes one thing crystal clear. Pricing isn't a one-and-done decision. It's a continuous, data-driven discipline, a core strategic lever that demands CEO-level oversight and constant iteration. From cost-plus to dynamic pricing, and from market-based models to the cautionary tales of Ron Johnson at JCPenney, the difference between success and failure often boils down to how thoughtfully and how dynamically a business approaches its pricing. It's about understanding market psychology, competitive landscapes, and your own value proposition, then translating that into a revenue-optimizing framework. Have you ever seen a company completely retool its pricing and either soar or stumble? Or perhaps you've been on the receiving end of a dynamic pricing model at a concert or flight. Drop your story and what you learned in the comments below. If you're looking to stay ahead of the curve on how smart operators are building and scaling their businesses, subscribe to the channel. And if you liked this deep dive into pricing, My breakdown of how companies are using AI to personalize customer experiences and drive retention is exactly the next thing you should watch.